Yeah, you read that right. The title is indeed 20. And today, when this video is uploaded, not recorded, I'm pre-recording this a little bit earlier because I don't think I have time on my actual birthday. But today, July 25th, is my 20th birthday. And I know, for a lot of people 20 doesn't mean shit. But for me, I don't know, I kind of value 20 because maybe it's just me, but I feel like 20 is an age where it sounds like you're mature, like you have to do stuff with your life, like you need to do something important in your life, like get a job, get a wife, get children. I don't fucking know. It just seems old to me. And especially because it's 2 decades. 10 years has a name, and it's called a decade. So I'm 2 decades old now, and that's why I think it's kind of special. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna talk about some serious stuff. This isn't gonna be like a funny fucking video. It's just gonna be me talking about my life and how my life has come to the point where it is at now. So let's start from the start. Let's just start with the first decade. I will briefly explain this. I won't give a long explanation because I want to have my focus on the past 10 years. Years 10 to 20, and those are the most important because that was the past decade. So anyway, as a kid, I was a smart kid when I was younger. I could talk really fast, I could speak really fast, I could walk really fast. I basically, I was faster than most kids of my age. Like, everyone my mother knew had kids, and they were all slower in me than in all of those things. In walking, in talking, in writing, in basically everything. They were all slower than me. So I was one of those smart kids, and that basically continued in the latter years of those 10 years. I was always I wouldn't say nerd, but I was a really smart kid. And my first school, which is until age 12, I think I explained this in another video. Maybe it was on my previous channel, which got deleted. But we have those schools here, and the first school was until age 12, so it was 2 years into the second decade as well. But that's not important right now. So on that first school, I was always the smart kid, right? So I was quite smart, but I was also very social. I wasn't one of those nerds that doesn't talk to anyone. So I was basically friends with everyone on my first school, and those were very nice years. I always had fun. I went to school, I gladly went to school because I had a lot of fun there. It was basically playground for me. It didn't feel like school at all. It was just me being happy. And sometimes I had to make a test, and I always had A's for the test. I had a 10 out of 10 because we work with those grades. We work with 1 to 10, not with A, B, C, D, etc. So I had an A, but for me it was a 10 out of 10. So it continued like that. So we have 8 grades there, and you start at age 4 and you end at age 12. And in all of those, I think in my last year, it was the 8th grade, and we had to make this test, which would determine where you would go next on your second school. So you have a lot of levels here, and I fucking nailed that test, and I got the highest level. And I got my grades back at the end of the year, my end grades, and they were all 9.5 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s. So I fucking nailed that shit. And like I said, I was just a really social kid, so I both got to the highest level on my second school, and I had a lot of friends at that point in time. So that's basically the first 10 years. So to sum it up once again, I was a really smart kid, but I was also very social. I had a very easy life. I even liked going to school. I enjoyed that shit way too much. I enjoyed being at home as well. I always went into the woods with my friends to play, and I played some video games with them and whatnot. I made fucking tree houses. I basically did everything normal kids did, and I was such a happy fucking person, and I didn't have any problems in my life. So that was pretty much it for the first decade. So moving on to the second decade. So the first few years of the second decade of my life, so I'm talking about years 10 to 20 right now, they were quite easy. So when I got to that second school, I was at the highest level, obviously, so things got harder. And the first test I ever made, I will never forget, I got a 5 out of 10, and that was the worst grade I've ever gotten. I got home and I was crying. But after that, the first grade the first grade of that second school, I should say, it was easy. I passed it without any problems. I got to know a lot of people I hung out with in recess, and I just had a lot of fun. Even after school, I hung out with them. I went to play like football. I went to the beach with them. I just chilled at some of their houses. I went to play tennis with some of the guys, and I just had a really nice time. And those people were very nice people. So then I went to the second grade, and this is kind of the point. This was in 2011, I think, and this was kind of the point when the first cracks in my life started to happen. So at first, it all was nice, right? I still had those friends, and I those friends aren't the important part. I would keep most of those friends I met on that second school for the duration of the entire school, so until 2015. But that's not the problem. So at the beginning of that second year of the second school, it went kind of well. But then I didn't put any effort into school. I just was busy with chilling, with watching TV, with hanging out outside. I was kind of influenced by the people I hung out with. I was part of one of the cool kids. The friends I had were like the highest level of coolness, if that's a word. I was basically one of the big guys in school, you know. I was one of the guys that everyone knew and everyone not wanted to hang out with. Some of them kind of thought I was an asshole because, well, I don't know. I was just this asshole to teachers. I was sometimes an asshole to others, and I was just one of those, hey, look at how cool I am, people, you know. And I don't know. It's kind of who I am, but I'm also not really proud of it because, especially in that second year, and after that I calmed down, don't worry, but as in that second year I was just influenced by the guys I hung out with, and I just bullied other people, and that's something I'm not proud of. I fucking bullied people because of their looks, because of their clothing, because of how they were talking, basically anything. I was just looking for insults at that point, and that's a period in my life I'm not really proud of. But after that, I just kept on going, and my grades were still shit. And then in February 2011, and that was the latter part of that second grade of that second school, because it ended in July. In February, my parents came with the news that they decided to divorce. So I didn't know the reason back then, and I found out like a few weeks later because I heard my mother talk over the phone, and it was simply because a woman had seduced my father, and he fell in love with her, which I still don't agree with. And he fell in love with her and basically left my mom for that. At first, he chose my mother and his children, but she kept texting him, even though he said he chose us, which is really fucking sneaky. She kept texting him to fucking influence him and make his choice different, and well, in the end it worked, and he left my mother for that. So I was really fucking mad. I was angry at him. I didn't want to speak to him. I was like, you know what, you can fucking suck my cock, and I don't want to talk to you again in the next few years. And that was basically my reaction. But my reaction it wasn't bad. My reaction was decent compared to how my mother and my sister reacted. How my mother and my sister reacted, I will never forget that. My sister was so fucking devastated that she got sick for like 6 weeks. If it wasn't more, I think it even was more than 6 weeks. She got sick and she kept puking, and she was like 40 degrees, and it was just really horrible. And after she got done with being sick, she tried to go to school again, but she developed a phobia for school. So I think she was in like 5th or 6th grade of the first school, and at some point I think she didn't go to school for like 2 or 3 months. I think it was 8 weeks that she didn't go to school. She just had a phobia. She had to go to a fucking psychologist to talk her out of it and to make her go to school again, because whenever she was at school she was just absolutely fucking nauseous, and she just felt like she was gonna die in there, and it was just really horrible. And that was all because my father left my mother, and that situation just hurt her so much. And her personality has never been the same. After that happened, after she got back to school and things went to quote-unquote normal again, she never was the same person. She used to always be this happy girl that was in for anything, etc. And her mood is so different right now. Sometimes she does things where I'm like, what are you doing? I definitely don't understand what you're doing right now. But then I remember what she's been through, and I just remember the situation, and then I accept it. But she's definitely a different person now. She's mad way more. She's annoyed way more. She's distant. Sometimes it's the situation just really influenced her, and I will never, part of me will never forgive my father for that. As for me, I currently have contact with my father again. I tennis with him every Sunday. I go on trips with him every now and then. But I told him already, I refuse to meet your new wife ever in my fucking life. I don't care if it's your funeral. I don't care if it's my sister's wedding. I don't care what it is. I never want to meet that woman. And I also told him I will never sleep in your house. I'm sorry, man, but I only have one bed, and that's my own bed. And he accepted that. So the contact with my father is decent, but there are some parts I will never forgive him. As for my mother, the reaction was obvious. It was a reaction that every woman would have in her situation. So before I explain any of this, my parents didn't divorce because they were fighting a lot. My parents didn't divorce because the relationship was bad. They just divorced because he was seduced by another woman. Their relationship was decent enough. We had happy times. We had nice vacations. We barely had any fight. Well, we had some fights, but that's normal in a family. But we just had those normal nowadays. We just had those normal family fights everyone has. So that there wasn't anything special. We were basically the perfect family, I'd say. I mean, that's kind of stupid to say, but I feel like we were. So because they didn't break up while fighting a lot, etc., my mother was, of course, devastated because my mother really didn't want to divorce him. She still loved him, and she still does love him, even though it's been 6 years right now. It's been, well, almost 6.5 years. Of course, she still loves him. So my mother was depressed and mad and sad every day. I saw her crying every day. It was just, she was devastated. And that was just horrible to see. I will never get those images out of my head of my sister and my mother being like that. I basically felt like I was the strongest person in the house and I had to carry them on my back or something. And I was only 13 years old at the time, so I couldn't really do that. But I felt like I had. I felt like I had to make them comfortable. I felt like I had to help them, and I felt so powerless because I couldn't help them. There was no way for me to help them out of the situations. They needed to get out of that themselves, but it really hurt me, and I've lost sleep over that, man. I've lost sleep just overthinking how I could possibly help them, and I couldn't find any solution, and that really hurt me. I really feel like in that period, I grew from a boy to a man, and I really felt like it. I know a divorce doesn't seem like much, but the way I've seen my sister and my mother crumble, it probably hurt me the most out of everything that's ever happened to me. But yeah, that's that situation. So after that, to continue with my school story, I decided to be like, yo man, this happened to me. I'm fucking done with everything. I'm gonna make something of my life. And I had 7 grades that were fucking trash, and I had 1 exam week left, as I said. So in that one week, I had tests of every subject I had, so all 10. And I fucking nailed it. I got good grades for all of them, and bam, I had 0 bad grades, and I could just go to the third grade of the second school. And all those teachers were fucking amazed by me, and they were congratulating me, and they were like, Jesus fuck, man, how did you do this? And I was just like, yeah, I put in the time, and I fucking did it. So that's that. Then the time kind of went on and on and on. So we went to 2012, right? So in 2012, I was in the 3rd grade of that second school. My grades were decent because I put in some time, not too much time, but I put in some time. I felt like it was easy for me. And then on June 7th, 2012, I got I was ready to go to school. It was 8 a.m. I was just eating some bread because everyone eats bread in the morning, just some breakfast. And my mother went to work at 7:45, and she was like, "Well, I see you like at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Have fun at school." So I was like, "Okay, well, it's fine." And then after a short while, I think it was like 10 minutes, she got back and she was in tears, and she was like, "Ah." Okay, that's a bad impersonation, but She was crying so much, and I was like, oh my god, one of my cats is dead. One of my cats was hit by a car. No, fuck. So I was like, no, mom, is one of my cats dead? She was like, no. And then she kept crying. She couldn't even speak. She was so devastated. And then she said it. So one of my friends, I won't say her name because, well, sometimes I feel like she's listening from heaven. But one of my friends, she let me just say what she said. So she was like, sad friend, she killed herself. She was found dead yesterday. And then she basically told the entire story about how they found her. They were at a festival, her parents and her sister, who was, I think she was like 20 years at the time. They were to this festival, they were just chilling a bit, and she decided to stay home. She didn't really feel like it. And then they got home at like 8 p.m. and they opened the front door, and there she was, hanging from the roof, dead. And that's basically what happened to them. And that hurt them so much. That's insane. But this is a story about me. I won't go into detail because I want to have respect for them. I really respect them, and they're a family that we still go to very, very, very regularly. They will remain my friends until they die. Basically, because we just share this emotion this emotion, this moment. Because she was my best friend, well, at least one of my best friends at the time, and I do know if she didn't kill herself, then she would still be my best friend, like for real. So whenever I heard that, I didn't cry. My mouth just fell open, and I sat there for like 10 minutes, and I was like, what the actual fuck? I've seen this in movies. Is this really happening to me? It was so surreal. And to be honest, it's 5 years later now, and it's still surreal. I still feel like she can walk into my fucking house at any given moment. It's so weird to have a friend that's dead. And the funny thing is, I just went to school that day, and I was just like, yeah, my friend killed herself, it's fine. I was just in shock or something, I think. And even at her funeral, I didn't shed a tear, and it's weird. People were actually insulting me. They were like, why aren't you crying? You were her best friend. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I just don't feel like crying. Just let me be, okay? I'm sad in my own way. Of course I'm devastated. Do you really think I like it when my friend fucking suicides? I mean, why are you even saying this at a funeral? All those people were looking at me. Oh man, I felt horrible at that funeral. I wanted to leave ASAP. But yeah, I still visit her grave every week, and I still get confronted with it every week, but it still feels surreal, and I don't know. It's weird. You lose a friend, but she will always be in my memory. It's weird. Like I said, I still visit the grave every week. I feel like the graveyard is a really peaceful place, but there's not many people my age. Well, okay, there's plenty of people my age that can say my best friend suicided at age 15. And that's what she did. She suicided at age 15, and that was really weird. That and the divorce of my parents really, it really hurt me. It really scarred me, IMO. But yeah, that happened. I shouldn't stick around on some topics for too long. So that happened, and my life just went on. So my 3rd grade and 4th grade, and also kind of my 5th grade, they were kind of easy, I guess. They were sort of easy. I still had some problems. At some point our house was robbed. At some point my dad's car was robbed. At some point some guys threw eggs at our house like 3 or 4 days in a row, until we fucking scared them off and they never came back. And I know exactly who it was. It was one of my neighbors from when I was younger. He stole my Pokemon cards, and my dad knew about it. And then he ran away for my dad, and my dad fucking slapped the shit out of him. They called the cops, and I guess he was still mad about that, so he decided to throw some eggs at our house. Other than that, I broke my arm in the meantime. I just had some minor problems, but they all added up, and I just got a big backpack, if you know what I'm saying. I just got a lot to endure during that time. So there weren't a lot of big things happening in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, but they just added up into one big thing, and it just kind of sucked. And like I said, it made me get a big backpack. I just had a lot to endure. And then we get to 2015. So this was 2 years ago. And I was in my final year, my graduation year of my 2nd school, and I was, like I said, at the highest level. And this is basically where shit went down. So after that, after June 2015, July 2015, I wouldn't say I've had horrible years, but I've had shitty years, okay? So basically what happened is I had my graduation year, like I said, and I had my final exams. My grades weren't good. I was in a slump again. I was kind of throwing. I didn't feel like studying. I didn't feel like putting in time. I was one of the cool guys, like I said, and I was just chilling, you know? In class, I was just chilling, and my teachers didn't appreciate that, and I was getting older. I was getting I was like 18 in the 6th grade, or well, I was 17. I was gonna get 18 in summer, and I just, whenever you get older, it's with everyone. You form an opinion about certain stuff, and the teachers will always tell you to shut the fuck up because you're younger and you can't have an opinion in class, and that just really got to me. And I was like, I was a rebel. I was like, you know what? I have an opinion and I want to voice it. And my teachers didn't appreciate that. So I was such a fuckboy in the graduation year. I was such a fuckboy, man. I wasn't nice at all. I wasn't allowed back in math class from December. So I wasn't allowed in math class for 7 months. And the funny thing is, in the final graduation exams, I actually fucking nailed that math exam, even though I wasn't there for most of the time. At some point, my economics teacher wanted me out. They wanted to talk with me and the council, because she was like, yeah, I can't teach him anymore. He's so fucking annoying. And I was just, I wouldn't say bad boy, but I was just an annoying piece of shit. I was one of the most annoying pieces of shit in the graduation year. And I'm kind of proud of that, because it's probably the funniest year I've had. It's well, let's keep that probably out of there. It was 100% the funniest year I've had on that second school, but it got me into a lot of trouble. And however, I do kind of regret it, but I kind of don't regret it, because I had a lot of fun. So after that, I had my final exams. And my final exams, I had to basically, for every final exam, I had to get a good grade, except for 2. So what I did, I had to get an average of 5.5 out of 10 for all those grades, okay? And the other thing was, I could only have 2 5 out of 10s, and I had to compensate. And 3 5 out of 10s, without enough compensation, that was done. You're fucked. So what happened is, I made my final exams, and I basically didn't graduate with 0.1 points. So for this is management and organization. This is a subject we only have in the Netherlands. I don't know what it's called in other countries, but it's called management and organization here. So for that exam, I calculated I needed a 4.5. So I needed a 4.5, and according to my calculations, I had somewhere between 5.5 out of 10 and 6.5 out of 10. So I was like, fuck yes, I graduated. I fucking did it. So whenever I got the results, it was a few days later. It was like 3 weeks later after I made my final exam. It was like July 16th, and they were gonna start calling at 3 p.m. So at 3 p.m. I got a call immediately, and I was like, oh no, if I'm called at 3 p.m. that means I didn't do it. It means I failed my year. So because every year, hold on, I need to take a sip because I have a really dry mouth. So every year, the guys who failed the year are the ones that get called first, and the guys who graduated are the guys that are being called last. So if it's like 3:30, then you know you graduated. So I was called at 2 minutes past 3. So he called me and he was like, yeah, Lars, you failed your year. You have 3 grades that are below the 5.5 mark, and you only have 2 compensation points, so you didn't pass it. So I was like, no. So I'll admit it, I cried the whole day. I went to the graveyard to just be with my fallen friend, and I just cried there all day. And I came home at like 7 p.m. Then I think I went to my room and just watched some YouTube videos, And I don't think I've ever cried that much. It was fucking insane. I cried so much, man. It was just so horrible to fail a year because I almost was the smart kid. I was like, oh fuck, I'm a year behind everyone now. I can't handle this shit. It sucks so much. And it sucked at the moment. It was worth crying. But whenever I got my grades back, I just saw it. I had a 4.4 and I needed a 4.5. A 4.4! And I tried to negotiate. I was like, it's 0.1 point. And I tried to check my answers. Some of the answers that were wrong, they were so close to being right. So I tried to negotiate. And those teachers, me being an annoying piece of shit, it just got back to me because they all were like, hey, middle finger to you. We're not gonna let you graduate, motherfucker. Have fun in your next year, noob. And after a lot of bitching, I had to accept the fact that I failed my year. And that was really horrible for me. That's really... I don't know, that really made me hurt. I was planning on going to the beach a lot in that year, and I think I went like 2 times in that entire summer. The rest of the time, I just played games all day. I sat in my room. Well, I didn't sit in my room all day. I didn't have a computer in my room back at that time. I just sat on my laptop all day. I was outside a little bit, and I was just the unluckiest person in the world. And it gave me a lot of time to think, because everyone was at the beach and I was at home. I was at home alone a lot, because my mother and my sister were obviously at the beach because the weather was nice. And it gave me a lot of time to think. It gave me a lot of time to rethink my life. And after like 3 or 4 weeks, I finally decided to just man the fuck up. Just complete the subjects I didn't complete the last year, and just don't be such a bitch. It's only 1 year. And whenever I decided that, I got my happiness back. I became my old self again, and I fucking nailed the next year. I fucking nailed it. I had to do management and organization over, I had to do economics over, and I had to do Latin over. So economics and management and organization, I actually got lessons in that shit, and I passed that without a problem the next year in mid 2016. And then in summer 2016, and then I had my Latin exam. So my Latin exam was in a different building than the economics and management and organization exam, because it was a different school. The school I went to get those 2 subjects was a different school, and it didn't have Latin. So I had to fucking go to another school to have my Latin exam done. And the funny thing is, it's called government exam. So in this government exam, you don't get any lessons, you don't pay for any lessons, you just don't. You only pay for just making the exam, and that's pretty much it. So I had economics and Latin at the same day. So I had Latin first, and I had Latin in Amersfoort. So I went to Amersfoort. If you don't know where it is, just fucking Google it. So I went to Amersfoort, made my Latin exam, and before that Latin exam, I studied like two weeks, because I really didn't want another failure. So I studied like 2 motherfucking weeks, and I made that Latin exam, and basically I'll tell you what grade I had later on, because this is important to the story, okay? So I got my management organization grades back on graduation day. It was again July 16th, and I got my economics grade back also on July 16th, and I passed it. I passed it so fucking easy. I had a 7 out of 10 for both of them, and the year before that I had 4 out of 10 for those subjects. Holy shit, I fucking buffered. But I had a 4 out of 10 the past year, and this year I just had 7s out of 10. So it was really easy. I put in the time, because I was like, I'm not gonna fail again. I know I'm smart enough to complete this shit, and I'm gonna fucking do it, and I did it. So my Latin wasn't done after my final exam, because for some fucking reason, this Latin exam wasn't just the final exam, like it is with usual subjects, and like it was on my previous school. For some reason, I had an oral exam for Latin as well. But the thing is, you'd think this oral exam, okay, understandable, this is probably before the final exam week, right? Nope. It was 1.5 months after I got the results of my economics and my management and organization exam. That's how fucked up that was. So it didn't make any sense. In the middle of summer, in the middle of my vacation, I had to study for some weird fucking oral exam, and it was just super weird, okay? So I got there on that oral exam day, and I kind of prepared, but I kind of didn't, because I was like, it's summer, I really don't feel like learning, I have no juice. So I got there and I did my oral exam. So when I when I got done, I fucking sucked. Okay, I didn't know any answer. I fucked that shit up so bad. So after I got done with my oral exam, there were two guys that were judging. So after I got done, those two guys said to me, "Yeah, maybe for next year you should find a different teacher." So I was like, "No." They're gonna give me a 1 out of 10 and I'm failing my year again. Not the second year in a row and this time only one subject. Please don't. God, please don't. So I had to wait about 2 hours before I got my results. For some reason, I think it was because there were a lot of people there, but I had to wait for 2 motherfucking hours before I got my results. And those were 2 hours I want to forget ASAP. They hurt so much. I called my mother. Yeah, mom, I didn't make it again. I almost started fucking crying. And my mother was like, no, why again? And she felt so bad for me as well because she knew I put in the effort and I really wanted to fucking graduate finally. And I just waited 2 painful hours. Every minute seemed like an hour. Every second seemed like half an hour. It was fucking insane. I know that doesn't make any sense. Half an hour for a second, 1 minute for an hour. I know. I don't give a shit. But it just felt like ages. So then I finally was then I finally was called. Lars, come to the desk. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go to the desk. So this chick, she was about my age. No, she wasn't hot. But she took me to this room where we would get our results. So I was called in like third or something. And I sat down. So I sat the fuck down. And she was like, yeah, Lars, I have bad news for you, man. I don't think you're gonna like it. It's really sad. So here you go. And she gave me my grade. So I saw, and this is why I want to keep it a secret, because before those oral exams, they didn't give me my final exam grade because they wanted me to study hard for my oral exam. Because if I knew my final exam grade was good, then I felt the pressure. Okay, so I didn't feel the pressure. I felt the pressure a lot because I didn't know that final exam grade, and I just wanted to know what I had. So, I got those grades back, and I saw them, and I looked at them. So I was like, okay, oral exam, 3.8 out of 10. Fuck. And then I saw my final exam grade. It was a 4.5 out of 10. So those together was like a 4.1 out of 10, and I had enough compensation points because I ended my management and organization and economics with a 7 out of 10, and a 7 is 1 compensation point, 8 is 2 compensation points, etc. And I had my math, my history, those were also 7s out of 10s, so I had plenty of compensation points to compensate for that fucking shitty grade. And I was like, yes! So I started fucking cheering, and this woman was like, why are you cheering? What the fuck are you cheering about? And I was like, I fucking graduated. I fucking did it. So she was like, are you sure about that? So I had my my other grade list with me because I thought it was needed or something for them to give me a certificate. So I was like, here, see this. So she looked at it and she was like, oh my god. So she gave me a hand. Congrats. I'm sorry I was such a downer. I thought you were only here for your Latin. I was like, yeah, that's true, but I needed it to complete my certificate. So she was like, oh. So that was one of the weirdest moments out of my life, probably. And after that, I just had a happy summer. I was so happy I finally graduated and I could go to my university finally, where all my old friends were. And I was just super happy about that fucking shit. So whenever university almost started, I checked this website, right? It was the website where I needed to answer some questions, do some shit to get into university. And I just checked it. Like, is there something I need to do before this starts? So I checked it. I clicked the link, and I saw you're rejected. So I was like, rejected from a what? I was in time. Why am I rejected from a university? So this is also my own fault, and it's because I'm a fucking moron. Apparently, there were these matching days. Those matching days were after the deadline for signing up to university for a study. Those were after the deadline. So apparently I got an email about them. Apparently I got multiple emails about them. And there was even a second matching day, and I also got multiple emails about that shit. And I just never read them. I just ignored them. I was like, matching day, how about you suck my dick, man? I don't feel like going. I saw the emails, but I was just like, yeah, this isn't required. But apparently that was required to get into university, and otherwise I wasn't allowed. So that was kind of my fault. So long story short, I was a fucking idiot and I wasn't allowed to university. And I was like, no, come on, not another year wasted. Why? So, in a course of multiple days, I think it was like a week. I think if I say I made 30 phone calls with the university, that's not even a lie. I think I made like 30 phone calls. Me and my dad went there like 10 to 15 times to talk with the direction and to just talk with them and get me into the university. And after so much negotiating, after so many calls, after so much bullshit and stress, they finally decided, you know what, we're gonna let you in, but this is the first and only case where this happens when we ever let anyone in. So so I was basically let in with the highest exception possible, and well, I'm kind of proud of that shit, but that was, it was insane. I was finally let in and I was so happy. And this is basically where the previous year started and the year we're still in, because this period, well, it kind of ended, it kind of didn't, because it kind of ends when my university starts again. But this is a period I want to specifically talk about in my life, because it was a part of my life I've really hated. The past, well, it's better since March, but the past like 8 months are 8 months that really got me thinking, and they really scarred me. And actually, I want to talk about this while I'm walking in the woods, because I actually have a backstory about the woods which I want to include in this shit. So, I'll see you in the woods, motherfuckers. Bye.
They love to tell you dream big, till you take it too far. They can tell you what you're doing wrong, but could never do it like you. If they can't put a label on you, ain't no telling what you might do. Made a lot of changes, I had to do it. Difference between me and them is I can see the wall before I crash into it. I saw the country this year twice, some people missing. I gave some people a hint, I guess we'll see who listens.
So here we are in the woods, and this is a place where I've spent a lot of time the past 8 months. So I walk here like almost daily. I walk here like every 2 days, every 3 days. Sometimes I walk here every day. It just depends on the week. And it's really been my peaceful place, my thinking place, and it's the place that I've appreciated the most over the past 8 months. So here is why. I will just explain what happened to me the past year and why it kind of sucked. So like I said, I started my university in September after being let in with the highest exception. And whenever I got there, I met some really nice people. The people there really were on my level. They thought like me, they spoke like me, and I just really liked them. And I got a group of friends, a group of 8 friends really quickly. And I just hung out with them and shit. And I spent a lot of time on my university. So I had this one subject. It was called Quantitative Research Methods. And it was so fucking hard. It was basically math, and it was harder than any math I've ever had. I had almost the easiest math in school. You had 4 levels of math. I had the second level in my at my second school. And this math was like 3rd to 4th level, and I just didn't understand shit. Whenever I got to the classes, I didn't understand it. Whenever I looked at my books, I didn't understand it. I think every week I spent about 60 to 70 hours on that shit. I just went to university, got home, went to upstairs immediately, and just tried to solve some of those questions. And I just couldn't solve them. I've read the explanations like 30 times of all of them, and I just couldn't understand what was happening. And whenever I got to those classes, everyone answered the questions the teachers asked us, and I was just like, I don't get it, I don't understand it. And I just put so much time into it. I didn't have time for my friends anymore. I didn't see any of them. I was just, even in weekends, I woke up, I ate, I drank, and then I went upstairs to try and solve those math problems again. And it went on like that for 2 months, and then the exam came. So the exam had 25 questions, and it took me 2 hours to answer 3 of them, and all 3 were completely wrong. So I had a 1 out of 10 for that test, a 1 out of 10. and I was like, I can't do this anymore. My whole brain is dying, and I was so tired the whole day. I think if I didn't even have the time, but if I had the time, I think I would have slept like 13 to 14 hours a day, because I was so tired. My brain was working too hard to solve those math problems, and it just wasn't understanding it. It isn't part of me. I can't do math. Math is just something that's not for me. You have smart kids that have a math brain, and I just don't have it. I'm better at languages. I mean, just check this shit out. My English classes fucking sucked, and I'm making videos in English, and I've been talking in English for about 40 minutes already, maybe even more. I just suck at math. The other subject was about economy, and I'm really interested in economy, which is why I chose my study, economics and business economics. That's what it was called, and that's why I chose it. And in that subject, it went really well. I made that exam and I fucking nailed it. I think I got like a 6.7 out of 10, so it was fucking nice. But I just had a 1 out of 10 for those math problems, and I would have to make that exam again. I think I had 2 more chances to fucking get that exam, and I would never do it. So after a lot of cringing, a lot of sweating, too much work, too much effort, I decided I can't do this, and I dropped out of university after a lot of hesitation. And that really sucked. It broke me. It mentally fucking broke me to drop out of university. That it was just picture my feelings like a bucket. So you have this bucket, and every day raindrops fall in it. Every time raindrops fall in it. So the suicide of my best friend was more than a drop, and the divorce of my parents was also more than a drop. That was more like half a liter. So at some point, all those small, tiny little raindrops, and then me quitting my university, the bucket just overflowed. And the bucket overflowing was me collapsing. And I fucking collapsed when I quit my university. I really fucking collapsed 8 months ago. It was November, this beginning of November, end of October when I fucking collapsed. And I sat in my room all day with a blanket over my head, staring at my PC. Sometimes I was doing some shit, but I was just devastated. I was mad all the time. I was sad all the time. I was moody all the time, and I just wasn't fun to be around up until March. And my mother and my sister already told me that I was unbearable, and I kind of understand it. I just was broken. I was just fucking broken. So during this time when I quit my university, like I said, I just was in my room a lot, and I started gaming, and I was just gaming a lot and just trying to focus on other things, to just not think about me quitting university, because that fucking sucked. I fucking didn't want to quit university. I was 2 years behind everyone else, and I just couldn't handle it. I was just dead inside. So I started drinking a lot. I haven't drank that much ever. It was basically the point where I started drinking. At first I didn't drink much, but this was really I still drink. I don't drink as much as I did back then. Drinking every night because we drink to my accomplishments, like Drake would say. No, I didn't have any accomplishments. It was a different reason, but I just started drinking a lot. And not long after quitting my university, it was 2 months after, I started to have these really weird stomach problems, right? I think it was like 1 week after after quitting my university, I started having these stomach problems. So the stomach problems were really bad. So I had different variations of that stomach problem. It could be a stomach problem where I felt like I have, you know that feeling when you ate too much and you feel like your belly is really swollen? I had that, but then whenever I didn't eat anything and it just fucking hurt, it hurt so much, it was really swollen, I couldn't do anything. If I even laid my hand on it, I felt like I needed to throw up. Then I had the variation where I felt like I was hungry, but I wasn't hungry, I just had this really weird hungry growling in my belly. It was just like all the time, and I just felt like I had to eat, but I didn't need to eat, but I really didn't want to eat, but it was this hunger feeling. Then I had another variation where I just felt nauseous all the time, and I couldn't do anything because I felt like I needed to throw up every time, and it was bad, man. It was fucking bad. And because of that, the situation with me became even more unbearable. Whenever my mother came to me and she tried to talk to me, I would just answer like, yes, no. And those were the only words I knew. I was just really sad, and I didn't want those stomach issues. My life felt like it was over, okay? I really felt down. I didn't know what to do with my life. I was like, oh, what am I doing? I feel so fucked up. My stomach, my university, my whole life is a fucking joke. That's basically how I felt. And I felt like that for a while, man. I felt like that until like the middle of January 2017, this year. So basically I felt like that for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I held my stomach issues. My stomach issues didn't go away up until March. I've had my stomach issues for 6 straight up months, and those were probably one of the. I think those were the most horrible parts of my life. I just was so unhappy all the time. I just felt like I felt like shit. I just woke up and then I was like, are they gone? And then they were there. I couldn't function. I didn't want to work out because even that hurts, and I felt nauseous all the time. I didn't eat a lot because, like I said, I felt nauseous all the time, and my stomach was just a pain in the ass. I didn't want to do anything. I just felt like complete shit, basically. In December, it went away for like 1 week, and that was such a happy week. I was like, yes, it's gone. It's finally fucking gone. It's gone. And then I went to New Year's Eve and I got fucking drunk. Because of all the shit that happened to me, I just got fucking drunk and I threw up a lot. I think I threw up like 4 or 5 times that night because I kept drinking. And after that, I got sick. I don't know if it was the alcohol, but I got sick for a week. And honestly, being sick, it felt so much better than having those stomach issues. I didn't have the stomach issues when I was sick, and it felt so much fucking better. I was like, oh, this feels so nice. I don't care that I'm sick. I don't care that I'm weak and I'm tired all the time. This is so much better than stomach issues. That's how bad my stomach issues really were. And whenever I wasn't sick anymore, the stomach issues returned, and I was like, fuck me. So I wanted to go to fucking doctors. I wanted to get my body checked. I wanted to just get everything checked, because in those 6 months, I legitimately thought I was dying. I legitimately thought every day, what if I don't wake up anymore? What if I just die? I really didn't want to die. I still don't want to die. I'm only 20. Today is my 20th birthday. I don't want to die. I have a long life ahead of me, and I don't think I'll. I have this feeling, okay? I won't get past 85, but that's for later concern. I just didn't want to die, and I've never been more afraid of death than I've been in those 6 months. I was so afraid of dying. The stomach issues didn't stop, and they just were horrible, and I just felt like I was gonna die at some point, that there was no evading the death of me. And that was fucking horrible. So even though I wanted to go to doctors and shit, my mom was like, yeah, you sure don't we just need to search for a psychologist or something? So I went to 2 psychologists, right? And I talked to them, and with both of them I've only had one conversation because they didn't understand my issues. They treated me like a kid. They treated me like I belonged in a fucking mental hospital. They just treated me like complete dog shit, and I fucking hated that. It made no fucking sense to me.
And that's when I really figured out that a psychologist just doesn't work for me. I needed to get out of it on my own, because I get why some psychologists can help certain people get out of situations, but whenever I talk to these people, they just treated me like I was fucking stupid. They treated me like I was a 10-year-old kid. They used simple sentences, and the things they said, they were so stupid. They were so not relatable to my situation, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Those people aren't in your situation, and they have no idea what you're going through. And I just felt like I wasn't being treated right. I knew after like 2 minutes, I knew this isn't gonna help me. This is most definitely not gonna help me. And then I was like, you know what, I'm never going here again, I need to get out of this myself. So I have nothing against psychologists, but I just feel like they treat you like you're mentally ill and you're a little fucking kid, and I just can't handle that. I hope I don't get another mental problem in the near future, because those psychologists can literally suck my dick, man. Most annoying people on the fucking planet. They think they are know-it-alls, and they don't know fucking shit. Okay, so that's enough of my psychologist rant. I'm sorry if you had a psychologist experience which really worked for you. I just fucking hate them. So anyway, in those 8 months, whenever I had those stomach problems, I just kept dealing with it. And one of the ways I was dealing with it, and that's why I brought you to these woods, was walking through the woods. I still walk through the woods almost daily, and I really love doing it. Just having some music on, just chilling, just thinking about my life. And at first, I was just walking through the woods thinking, what the fuck do I do with my life? My life has no purpose right now. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm so far behind. And I was just a downer. That was really showing in my personality at the time as well. But like around mid to late January, I had enough time to think, okay? I obviously wasn't going to university anymore. And other people obviously were. So I had a lot of spare time on my hands with myself, thinking about my life. And what I figured out about my life is, even though I've had all those things happening to me, like the divorce, like my friend's suiciding, like failing school failing once, dropping out of university once, even though all of that shit happens, I'm still the same person that I was before. So if I finish my university immediately now, then it's gonna take 5 years. So I have my bachelor, then I have a master, then I have another master. So then I'm 25 when I finish my university and I can get a job. So what's wrong with that, man? I have to probably work until I'm like 71 years old or something. I don't know. I think there were rumors of it going to 69 already. And by the time I get there, then it's probably like 71, 73. I don't fucking know. So then I have like 50 years left to work for. So what's wrong? I can get a nice steady income because, like I said, I did the highest level at school, and I can just buy myself a house. I can buy myself some pets. I can buy myself pretty much anything I want because I'm gonna have a decent enough income. So that's not the whole problem. I don't give a shit anymore that I'm 2 years behind. It's just the way it went, and I have to accept that fact. And even though my friend suicided, which really sucked, even though my parents divorced, which really sucked, life just goes on, and I need to focus on myself about what makes me happy. And I just have to stop pleasing others. I have to start pleasing myself and do what I want, and that's really something I figured out, and that's really what I'm doing right now. In the past, I've always tried to please people. In the past, I've always tried to be nice. And whenever people had an opinion about me and they said it to me, I just laughed it away. And then I got home and then I complained to my mother about it. So something that really changed in my personality the past 8 months is that whenever someone has an opinion about me and they don't fucking agree, I just tell it to them. So, whenever my parents divorced, people thought my mother was influencing me. Whenever I said I didn't want contact with my father for a while and I would never sleep in his house, they thought my mother influenced me. And my mother actually shed a lot of tears about that. She was like, everyone is judging me, everyone is telling me I'm influencing you and I'm keeping you away from your father. And she was literally crying, and that shit made me so angry. So I was, I think it was somewhere in late December, maybe in January already this year, I was chilling at my friend's house, right? So, their mother, because they're twin brothers and they're both my friends, and their mother, I was talking with their mother. So, me and my dad decided to go to London this year, to the World Darts Championships in London, and I was basically telling that story to her, and she was like, hey man, I'm glad you're finally choosing your own path. And that fucking hit a nerve. That really hit a nerve. And I was like, choosing my own path? What the fuck do you think I've been doing my whole life? And then she was like, yeah, but you were younger and maybe your mother influenced you a little bit and you couldn't really think for yourself, and that made me even angrier. So I just exploded. I fucking exploded, and I told her what the fuck I thought about it, and then she was like, oh, well, I didn't know that, but I guess you're right, and I've never heard about it again. In the previous 6 months, she has never said anything about it anymore. She just knows that she shouldn't fuck with me because I'm gonna tell her, and that's something I should do more. I just even on school and everywhere, whenever someone had an opinion about like my appearance or whatever, I never said anything back. I just laughed it away because I was being too nice, and that's something I shouldn't do because I just get unhappier. I don't know, I'm being overrun, you know? And that's something I shouldn't do anymore. I should just be myself, do what makes me happy and not give a shit about anyone's opinion. For example, people my age, they like going out a lot, they like fucking getting drunk every fucking weekend, fucking girls, etc. And I'm not like that. I mean, everyone thinks I'm weird. I've been told I have a shit life a lot of times, and I don't give a fucking shit. And basically, the only reason I have a shit life, according to them, is because I don't go out. Right. That makes a lot of sense, right? So that doesn't make any fucking sense, but I never gave a shit. I just don't go out because I don't like it. My ideal night is just playing video games, or just watching some YouTube videos, or just watching some live streams at home. I don't want to go out. I don't fucking care about going to clubs. I don't care about fucking girls. I don't care about anything, honestly. I just do what makes me happy, and that's really what drives me right now. And it makes me happier as a person. So anyway, back to my stomach issues, because I just thought about it a lot, and the previous solutions that I found out about myself and what I wanted to do with my life and how I accepted my life as it is right now. It was fine, and I still didn't get why the stomach feelings didn't go away even after I figured that out. But then in the beginning of March, I think it was on like a random Wednesday, it just went away, and now we're on July 25th and it's never come back. It's just completely gone, and I don't feel like I'm dying anymore. And sometimes I still feel hungry, and then I confuse it with those stomach feelings, and I'm like, oh no, they're back, and then I eat something and it's gone. So I'm luckily completely free, and I'm really fucking happy because it was probably the roughest period of my life. It really is. I mean, I think even the suicide of my friend and my parents divorcing, it wasn't as bad as this. Just how I felt in my stomach, just the way I felt like I was dying for like 8 months straight. It was terrible. I felt like my life was over, and then the stomach issues, which were so fucking bad, and it cost me a lot of sleep. I didn't sleep well. I think it was the worst period of my life so far, and it's only been gone for 4 months right now, and it's still fresh in my mind. Maybe I'll talk about it differently in a few years. But anyway, what I figured out is life is very simple. Whenever I hear my friends, they don't have issues in their life at all. Their biggest issue is breaking up with their girlfriend, and they are like, oh my god, I can't be alone, and oh, my life is over. And I'm like, bitch, motherfucking please, look at my life. It's 10 times worse than yours. I've had way worse things happening to me. I mean, like, the only thing you have in your life is breaking up with your girlfriend. If that's the worst problem in your life, then you have a fucking amazing life. Like, what the fuck, man? And what I don't get about that mostly is that people have love as their number one priority. That's one of the biggest mistakes you can have in your life, IMO. And I know this doesn't really have to do with my life, but it's something I want to say in this video. If you have love as the number one priority in your life, you're doing something wrong. Because having love in your life is also relying on the other person, and you're relying on the other person. And my philosophy is, you are born alone and you die alone. And the only person you are with 24 hours a day is yourself. So who do you have to make happy? Is that yourself, or is that some significant other which you have to rely on? No, it's yourself. And IMO, the priorities in life is, I want a nice house, I want a nice job, which I really love and which pays decent enough. I want some pets in my house, and I want to keep making YouTube videos, because that's what really makes me fucking happy. And that's the priority in my life. That's how I want to get my life together. And if I get those things, which are really possible when I finish my university and get a steady job, then I'm happy in my life. Then I can fucking die in peace. I can literally live for 50 years alone without any woman in my life and be fucking happy. And that's how you're supposed to live. IMO, love should be your number 2 or even 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It should be lower on the priority list, because it doesn't always happen. The chances on divorcing are more than 50%. And it's just not worth it to waste your whole fucking life crying about how alone you are. My mother is one of those examples. Whenever she's mad or sad, she's like, oh yeah, and I'm just alone in this house now, and I have to do everything alone. It just really sucks, and I always wake up alone. And I'm like, come on, why is that your priority in life? And so many people have that shit, and they just get sad by not having a significant other, and it makes no sense to me. It's just... you're letting your life go to fucking hell because you don't have someone in your life. Like, for real, man. Find ways to make yourself happy. And one thing where you can start with making yourself happy is appreciating the little things. So let me just give you a small example of that. That's also something I've learned in the past 8 months. Appreciate the little things, the things you do have, which I used to never really do because I just saw it as normal. So, for example, every day when I wake up, I drink 2 cups of coffee because I really like coffee. And every day I keep a fucking... holy shit, my voice. So, every day I drink 2 cups of coffee because I really like it. And I didn't used to enjoy it. I just saw it as normal, as like, yeah, I do this every day, it's okay, but come on, and I don't have anything I want in life. And now whenever I wake up, I just drink my 2 cups of coffee, and I'm literally the happiest person alive. What can I say? Just appreciate it so much that I have it. It tastes really nice, and I just love it. And whenever I get on my computer and play some Counter-Strike, I really appreciate that I have that game and that I can play it, and that I enjoy it that much. And I just appreciate everything I have, and that's something I really learned in the past 8 months. You can fucking cry about what you don't have, or cry about what happened to you, cry about everything, but the real thing what you're always supposed to do is try to make the best out of it. Try to make the best out of your life. Despite what happened to you, try to appreciate everything you do have instead of hating on everything you don't have. And that's really the message of this video, sorta. And it's also telling a story about my life. But that's just, to sum it up, don't have love as a priority. Try to make something of your life, even though it might suck sometimes. Just prioritize getting a nice house, getting a nice job, getting everything you want, basically, that's in your possibilities. Appreciate the little things, and just try to be the best person you can be. That's basically what I want to say. I mean, I might sometimes be an asshole. I might seem like a fucking retard in these videos, but I'm not stupid. I know what I want in life. I know my priorities are right. And maybe, just maybe, you can do it the same as me, because I think that's the right way. And disagree with me, whatever you want, I don't care. So, this is almost the end of the video, and I want to say one more thing. So, I want to talk about friends really quickly. So, that's also something that happened to me. I used to have like 10 plus friends I hung out with a lot. And I lost like half over the past, well, it's 5-6 years. I lost like half, mostly because they went to different schools and I just didn't really see them anymore, and they're living in Amsterdam and shit now. And that really sucks, but it happens, you know. I don't really, I value friends, okay, but I'm more of an Einzelgänger. And what Einzelgänger means is I like being alone. I could easily go with like 4 months of just being alone, instead of 4 months without being alone and being with friends every day. I can't handle not being alone for at least like 3 to 4 days a week. I like my alone time because there's no one to please, and I can just do whatever the fuck I want without thinking about anyone else in the room or something. So that kind of sucked. I lost some friends. One of the friends in particular I lost was a friend I've known since I was 2 years old, and he was one of my best friends. But I tried contacting him every day, and he always had something to do. And well, either he had something to do or he didn't respond. And at some point, I think it was like when I asked him, I think I asked 15 times or something. And all of the times he didn't respond like 12 times, and 3 times he was like, yeah, I'm not at home. And I was like, you know what, if you want to still hang out with me, just message me. And he never messaged me, and it's been 2 years now. I just know he hangs out a lot with people that do drugs, with people that get into jail because they have weapons, etc. He's just having criminal friends that I'm like, you know what, whatever, you do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not even gonna bother. If you still want to hang out, just contact me. But I don't think he ever will because he's a motherfucker. I don't know. Sometimes he always was a really weird person. That's because some shit happened in his life which really scarred him and which really made him a different person. So I don't judge him for what he's done to me. But at first I felt like I was the one that did something wrong, but then I was like, you know what, it's just because of him, and I accept it. One more friend-related story I want to tell is a story that actually happened. Also in these past 8 months, like 2016, 2017. And it's the story about an internet friend I met IRL for the first time. So in 2015, I made an internet friend. Her name was Elise. And we just hung out on Skype, and we messaged each other on Skype. And in August 2016, we finally decided to meet IRL, and we had a lot of fun. We went to the movies, etc. No, it's not a love story. It's just a friend story. At least that was it for me. And we just had a lot of fun that day. So then in September, we decided to meet again. I went to her house. Where she lives, the landscape is so beautiful. It was so motherfucking beautiful, man. And the silence was amazing. It was incredible. It was so silent, and you could literally hear someone sneeze from like 15 kilometers away. I know, kilometers, I should say, but it was fucking amazing. So after I went there, and it was in September, we still kept messaging, and I was like, yeah, when do you want to hang out again? And I like it. And basically at some point she didn't answer me for 2 months. And I was like, what the fuck? So I told her about my school story, about how much shit I was going through, about how I was spending entire days in my room, how I was so tired all day, how I was just done. I basically was near a fucking burnout. And then she just ignored me for 2 months. And then after 2 months she answered me, and she was like, she answered me as if there was nothing wrong. And I was like, come on. And so I got angry. And then when I got angry, she didn't answer me again for 3 months. So after 3 months, I was like, okay, I'm sorry for being so angry, but you have to understand, I told you about my situation and you just didn't answer me. Like, what the fuck? And Jesus. And that was a sincere apology, because I still wanted to be friends. And then she answered with the words, when I apologized, okay, I'm glad you apologized. And I'm glad you finally realized that you are always playing the victim card. And then I was like, motherfucker, what? I'm going through the roughest period in my life right now. I feel like so much motherfucking shit. And you say I play the victim card? And well, I got so mad. The words I said to her as a response, those are words I won't repeat. And I just ended the friendship immediately. I just ended it fucking immediately, because that was so fucking rude to say that I played the victim card. I've never felt so shit in my life, dude. In 20 years, I've never felt so shit. And you say I played the victim card. How about you suck my fucking dick? No, I didn't mean it. But yeah, that's also something that happened in my life. Those are basically the friend-related stories. So, long story short, I lost some friends, and I still have my best friends. The real great friends I still have are fucking amazing friends, and I love them all. So, let's just end that topic, and I want to say a few more things. We're almost done right now. So, one thing that also kept me going in these past few months, and I would like to thank some of you guys that actually watch my videos. I know there aren't many of you, and maybe there never will be many of you, but thank you just for watching my YouTube videos. And even if no one watches, I don't care. It's something that's so much fun to do. I can really put my whole heart and soul into it, and I'm so glad I started a YouTube channel in 2016. I don't regret that at all, and I want to do this until I die, basically, until YouTube dies. And even if YouTube dies, I'll search for another platform to put my fucking videos on, because it's so much fun to do. I work on my YouTube videos almost daily, and I never thought I'd have a hobby I'd enjoy this much. I love editing, I love recording, I love playing games, I love everything about it. It's so fucking amazing, and I don't know, it's weird. It's weird how something like that, a simple YouTube channel, can make me so happy, but it always cheers me up. It makes my day better, especially when I get videos done I'm satisfied about. I'm the happiest person alive. And also, one more thing that really got me through these past 8 months is music. And I want to thank two rappers in particular. Those are Becky and Cyrus. So I leave their channel, their YouTube channel. I leave it in my description on every video because I really appreciate them, and especially the past 8 months. I've listened to so much of their music. Their music, I know it's not for everyone, and one of my friends even said Becky is a generic white rapper, which that really stung, and I'll never forget that. No hate, but they're just my favorite rappers, and their music, it just means so much to me because their music, their lyrics are real. I like the beats, I like basically everything about it. And they're just my favorite artists. And whenever I was walking through the woods, that was basically what I was blasting all day, every day. And I still listen to them daily, and I will continue to listen to them daily for a while. I think I've known these guys for 3 years, and I've always actively listened to them and actively followed their music careers. And they're slowly growing. They're not there yet, but they're still really small artists. And their music, I don't think I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for their music. I don't think I would have gotten my shit together if it wasn't for their music. I just appreciate it so much. Their music is fucking great, and I didn't know music could do that much for you up until now. So that I just wanted to put that out there. I just really appreciate those guys, even though they don't know me. I'm actually buying some apparel from them soon for my 20th birthday. It's gonna cost me like $70, but it's worth it. I just want to support them in any way I can, even though I don't have a lot of money. But yeah, I have the link in the description, like I said, so click on it if you want or not. I don't care. Well, I actually really do care. I hope you like it, okay? But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ranting about my life and basically telling about how I think about life right now, what happened to me in my life, the good and the bad, etc. Mostly the bad because, well, I just wanted to put that out there. That my life wasn't easy. My life was... I've had like 50 years of life experience in 20 years. Let's just say it like that. It wasn't the easiest life, but I feel like I've got stronger. I feel I've matured very fast, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of where I am right now, despite everything that happened to me. And that's why I just wanted to tell you guys. And what better way to do it than on my 20th birthday, right? So that's pretty much it. I hope you can like understand my life story and why I think about things the way I do. And if you don't, well then, I don't really care. Just let me know. So if you like this video, then definitely leave a like rating. If you liked it even more, then definitely hit that subscribe button. And happy birthday to me, I guess. I didn't really talk about my birthday, but whatever. Peace out.
Shit as real as ever. I feel okay, but I feel the pressure. Fell into some old ways to get me feeling better. It never lasts. People say let it pass. People talk and people get dismissed like the end of class. I feed on that. If I cut a record, then I bleed on that. They want me underground, but I'd rather keep my feet on that. Used to really play the background, looking up to cats, but couldn't tell you where they're at now. It's crazy. I don't know if they got lazy or they couldn't catch a break. Either way, I'm yelling, pay me, cause you never know. Trying to stay ahead and shit, must be doing something right. Finally seeing benefits,